What is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new news roundup video. Haven't done one of these in a little while now, but I'm going to address the elephant in the room. You may have noticed a little bit of a different location backdrop. I have finally moved places. Some of you may already know this because I did a live stream last night. Thank you to those of you who turned up to that. But if you're hearing a little bit of an echo, that will be sorted out. Bear with me whilst I just try and sort things like that out. That's probably going to have a bunch of acoustic padding on the wall, and there's going to be lights on the shelves in the background and all kinds of other things. I mean, half the things on there have just been dumped. The lighting is probably off as well. Still need to set up a couple of studio lights, but yeah, just thought I'd give you that update. This is going to be the new location now. It will look better in time. But today's stories are pretty interesting because we've got some Superman and Lois Season 3 stuff to talk about with regards to the main villain and how they're connected to Intergang and who has actually been cast. And I think a lot of you may recognize this particular actor. We're also moving on to some DC movie news with regards to Flash, Black Adam. Also, it's nice to hear about some Blue Beetle talk, subtle teases, but from Xolo Maridueña himself. And also, I want to touch on the recent discussions, or should I say fallout, from that of The Lord of the Rings of Power, which dropped on Amazon Prime, because there's been a little bit of an Amazon response to that as well. So let's dive into this. Give me a like if you do go on to enjoy this video. Would always appreciate that. Don't forget as well, we do have timestamps in these news roundup videos, so if you don't want to hear about Superman and Lois and you want to skip to something else, do it. Without further ado, let's get into the Superman and Lois Season 3 news. And this is the main villain. But it's interesting recently. Obviously, Superman and Lois is going through a bit of a change, and a big one which hit fans. And that is because Jordan Elsas has left the role of Jonathan Kent. Obviously, Jonathan Kent's being recast. But in terms of who we're going to see the Kent family go up against next season, this is coming from the direct, saying that it wasn't until the closing moments of the second season finale that Wally Parks' character Steel was seated in a diner and approached by a multiversal doppelganger of Arrow star John Diggle. Diggle shared intel on Bruno Mannheim, seemingly setting that character up to be Season 3's main villain. While the direct was in attendance at the Arrow Guests Saving Star City panel at DragonCon on Saturday, September 3rd, Arrowverse alum and frequent DC TV director David Ramsey confirmed that the Orville's Chad L. Coleman has been cast as a lead villain of Superman and Lois Season 3. While Coleman's specific role remains unconfirmed, it's possible he'll be playing Bruno Mannheim, the leader of Intergang, who was name-dropped in the Series 2 finale. In the comics, Mannheim is a fearsome leader of the criminal organization known as Intergang. This particular group of thugs were bestowed with highly advanced weapons from the planet Apocalypse in an effort by Darkseid to locate the anti-life equation. Now, they go on to say it's not known how Superman and Lois will adapt Intergang, and that's the thing. Like, we've also got Intergang in Black Adam that we can't forget. And on both sides, even though Black Adam is DCEU, there's a small chance they might have some link to that weaponry or, you know, the stuff that we see them using in the trailer that is quite advanced, to have some connection to that, but I don't know. I feel like they might avoid that setup with Darkseid that the DCEU was going for. Now, as for Superman and Lois, I can't see that they're going to go there. They're probably going to adapt Intergang in quite a different way, but I do definitely think that Chad L. Coleman will be Bruno Mannheim, the leader of Intergang. And the most interesting thing about this, of which some of you may have forgot the details of when John Diggle approached John Henry Irons in the diner, he gave him an Argus folder on Bruno Mannheim, says he's done money laundering, illegal weapons, human trafficking. Dude has his hand on pretty much all the wrong pies. But this is where it gets very interesting, because he says that Bruno Mannheim was the person to kill this Earth's John Henry Irons, because of course we can't forget that John Henry Irons came from the Earth of which the black suit Superman destroyed. So I feel like this season we're going to get John Henry Irons also looking into his, well, this Earth's life, so maybe connecting with not really his sister, but kind of his sister, in an effort obviously to find out exactly why the leader of Intergang killed this Earth's version of himself. Now, as for the casting, I'm actually really happy with this because, believe it or not, I haven't seen the Orville, but I've seen Chad L. Coleman in, I believe he was in The Walking Dead. That was quite a few years ago now, but also The Expanse. That was pretty cool. I was a big fan of The Expanse. And I feel like he'll fit in this show. Like, he is a decent actor and he has a lot of gravity to his role. He definitely has that assertive power to be the leader of Intergang. He can be imposing when he wants to be in certain roles. So I think this is a good fit. And ultimately, I would just love to know what you think of this, but also maybe consider who else and what else we could see in Superman and Lois Season 3. Because even though this is the villain, normally Superman and Lois do dart things across the board. For example, Season 1, you had Morgan Edge, but you had these other bits going on for Lois to tackle. Season 2, you had Ali Alston. That kind of became a duo thing for Clark and Lois. Also with, you know, Jonathan or the evil Jonathan and other bits like that. So do you think there's going to be other potential issues with, for example, not only Intergang, but I guess the recasted Jonathan Kent might escape the Department of Defense? There's all kinds of things like that, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, next up, very briefly, just wanted to chuck this out there. Dwayne Johnson on his Instagram said, the global launch of our Black Adam trailer number 2 is going down this week. Lots of people are speculating that maybe it's the end of the week or like around Thursday. So keep an eye out because I will very likely be doing a trailer breakdown on that. What would you most like to see in this second trailer for Black Adam? For me, even though we've had a couple of teasers already, I need to see more because I feel like the recent trailers have just been showing recycled footage. Granted, we did get Hawkman getting completely blasted back by Black Adam and a few new JSA power scenes, but I feel like we need to see more than just that same area of film that we were seeing. For example, I want to see some teases of interganging Nat and the Sabak, who's trying to frickin' take over present-day Kahndaq, and I don't know if they would show his demon form or anything like that, but we're gonna have to wait and see. But just wanted to let you know that the Black Adam trailer number 2 coming out this week. Stay subscribed to the channel for an in-depth breakdown. So up next, with regards to DC movies, we have a couple of rumors that have been discussed recently, and I'm going to tie these two together. So first of all, we have the Flash Movie News Twitter page saying, though The Flash has a long way to go with VFX, sources close to the project have confirmed the film is on track in post-production and denied rumors it's undergoing substantial script rewrites and reshoots. So I think I did hear that rumor floating around, people thinking, oh god, like, you know, The Flash is going to be completely reworked and everything. But even though this Twitter page, of which I do know that they do know some things for what it's worth, so if you're wondering, oh yeah, but what does this Twitter page know? They do know some things. So even though these sources have denied that it's undergoing substantial script rewrites and reshoots, that doesn't mean that there won't be some subtle change, in my opinion. For example, as we all know, it's very likely that Michael Keaton's Batman won't be carrying on in the DCEU in that rumored kind of overlord watching role, like the mentor role, right? For multiple movies after that. Batgirl's in the can now. It looks like Affleck is coming back for Aquaman, of which is now taking place after Flash. So unless Flash gets delayed again to after Aquaman, which I do think is a possibility, currently as it stands, Affleck being in the Aquaman 2 movie takes place after the Flash movie, even though it was taking place before setting up his Flashpoint movie appearance. I know this gets a bit confusing in a way, but also getting back on point here, if Keaton isn't going to be kept on for multiple roles in the next DCEU 10-year plan, I think that they could include a scene of Affleck towards the end of the movie beyond whatever scenes he already had, such as the Bat bike chase and things that we saw filming quite a while ago now. So no major reshuffling or anything like that, but I do expect if Affleck is staying on, and that's an if still, by the way, because we still don't know 100% for sure, because his appearance in Aquaman 2 that he was filming for not so long ago was originally just a minor role to set up his role in the Flash movie. The Flash movie role that he already has, that he filmed quite a while ago now, another small role. So is he really signing on to multi-year deals? That is the question. But either way, I just don't think Keaton's going to be staying in the long run regardless. But let me know your thoughts on this either way. And there's also, speaking of the rumors, as I said, there's a couple. There were rumors that Shazam! Fury of the Gods was also getting quite a few reshoots. But David F. Sandberg, the director, debunks it on his Instagram by saying, no, I've seen reports that Shazam is being retooled, but it's not true. The cut has been locked for quite some time now, and we're doing the final mix, color, and VFX right now. Everyone is happy with the film, and we're not going to work longer on it just because of the release date shift. They figured Aquaman's previous date was better for us, and that's the reason we moved. definitely not shooting more. So there you have it. Just kind of like another somewhat subtle wake-up call with regards to rumors that circulate out there. Always don't just take them with a grain of salt, take them with a freaking iceberg of salt, because it's not always the way that some people, scoopers, leakers claim it to be. But yeah, it seems that that's fine. The Flash isn't getting any major reshoots other than maybe the Affleck change, but who knows what's really going on behind the scenes there. That would only need to be a tiny, teeny change for the end of the movie if they wanted him to continue on in the DCEU. But up next in DC news, we actually have some comments from Xolo Maridueña on Blue Beetle. It's not so like mega descriptive about the movie, but he does give some idea of what makes Blue Beetle unique, his experience, even a comment from Walter Hamada. So if any of you are looking forward to the new Blue Beetle movie, this one should make you happy. So the Hollywood Reporter says that Xolo Maridueña was freaking out. The 21-year-old Cobra Kai star had been invited to lunch with DC Films chief Walter Hamada and Warner's executive Galen Weisman. Maridueña figured the lunch had something to do with DC's upcoming superhero project Blue Beetle, which was set to become the first movie led by a Latino actor. Maridueña previously had a Zoom chat with Hamada, but hadn't yet auditioned for the role and had exactly 0 previous movie credits. Why do these guys want to meet? Maridueña wondered. What's happening? I was so nervous. There's so much riding on what they think about me. While waiting for a table, Hamada tried to calm Maridueña's nerves. He says, "Look, Xolo," Maridueña recalls Hamada saying, "this role of Blue Beetle is going to be really important to this universe. We want to just make sure that whoever we go with is a real person and we're not just hiring a face. It's more about what's in front of the camera," which is interesting. Now, I'm sure that this Blue Beetle movie is still important. It's very clearly still going forward, even though we've entered the new Warner Brothers Discovery post-merger regime. So even though Hamada says here, this is really, Blue Beetle itself is important to the universe, that may not apply as much as it did, because Walter Hamada's plans, for example, he was really pissed about Batgirl and various other things. So I'm not saying it isn't important, I'm just saying that we do need to note that even though this movie is still releasing, is it important for the next 10 years at DC under David Zaslav? Who knows, but we are getting a new, basically Kevin Feige-like figure, rumored to be Dan Lin, who is in talks to take that role. So maybe he will adopt that importance of the Blue Beetle movie into what he's orchestrating for the next 10 years of DC. Now, this is when we get the Hollywood Reporter asking him a few questions. Xolo Maridueña says Blue Beetle isn't to make the next heartthrob or biggest star. It's just to show people, hey, these stories about Latinos don't have to just be about narcos or crossing the border or being a gang member. You can be portrayed in a positive light. A superhero seems like the most positive light you can get in this industry. Then the Hollywood Reporter asks, there are obviously so many superhero projects. What else is going to make Blue Beetle unique? Now, Xolo says, I always get so nervous talking about the movie. Let me preface this by saying that everything that I'm saying was in the comics, okay? I don't want to hear anybody say Xolo was giving away spoilers from the movie. Jaime Reyes / Blue Beetle has been passed the torch from other Blue Beetles. There are other iterations of the character. My iteration is a kid from Texas who stumbles upon these powers. The thing that makes this movie different than any other superhero movie I've seen, well, there are a ton that I haven't seen. There were superhero movies before Iron Man, right? Iron Man made it cool to be a comic nerd. There were superhero movies before it that I haven't seen. But the family aspect to this movie and to the character is inherent to the comics and so special. The family we've been able to create in the movie, the mom, dad, uncle, sister, grandmother, I feel like that aspect of being a superhero hasn't been tapped into a ton. So many superheroes have alter egos, these aliases and personas. They have one life where they're Spider-Man or Batman, and then they go home and they're Bruce Wayne or whoever. They're constantly hiding their identity. But with this character, he lives with his family and there's no way to hide who he is. Right from the very first moment he gets his powers, his family knows. That's different. It's a dynamic that's so foreign to the superhero world. It's one of my favorite parts of the comics, and I hope that it translates to the movie. He also talked about how he thought that the suit was sick and everything like that, but I just wanted to share that with you guys because Blue Beetle, at least from those press photos of which, you know, the suit's gonna look even better than what everyone is praising it on, just from that of those press photos. But I'm looking forward to it. It sounds like a bunch of fun. Hearing Xolo Maridueña really pumped up about it as well, talking about how it's really true to the comics and that of what Blue Beetle prioritizes, like the family values and, you know, how they know he gets powers from, you know, day one. So let me know what you think of that. Again, there wasn't so many tidbit details other than, I guess, what Walter Hamada said. What you're looking forward to most with Blue Beetle. Are you pumped to see Xolo Maridueña in that suit? And yeah, I just think it's going to be a fun movie with a lot of spirit, and perhaps a movie, as he was teasing, that we don't really see all too often in superhero movies. I mean, sure, we've seen stuff like with Family and Shazam or various other superhero movies, but not quite in a very natural state. We're going to see it with this particular iteration of Blue Beetle and everything this movie's going to explore. All right, guys, and the last story for today is an interesting one. I know we're not all going to be on the same page here because this show has started that way from the very beginning, freaking teases of it. But we've got a new article here from the Hollywood Reporter again. Is the Rings of Power getting review bombed? Amazon suspends rating. So let's read out a couple of these paragraphs and then dive into this. I did a Rings of Power review the other day. Some people agreed with me, and some people were like, I question your reviewability now, which I fully expected. I'm not the only YouTuber getting that who gave it some positive thoughts in there. But either way, enough rambling, let's go on with this. So where's a wizard to fight trolls when you need one? The mega budget fantasy series The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is under fire from some of its viewers. A day after the first 2 episodes of Amazon's Billion Dollar Baby debuted on Prime Video, the show's average audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is a rotten 37%, and reviews on Amazon have been outright suspended. So they've completely stopped it for now, and I do think there are, like, it would be a straight up lie to say people aren't review bombing it, but obviously you can't say it's everyone, it's just what percentage of people. But they continue to say, compare that score to TV critics giving the show a very fresh 83% average. And many of the reviews were highly enthusiastic. It's great, a gorgeously immersive and grandly ambitious spectacle packed with stunning imagery and compelling plot threads, wrote TV Line. The Hollywood Reporter dubbed the first 2 episodes a rather successful, promising start. How The Rings of Power is doing on Amazon's own user review ecosystem is not yet clear because the company has taken the unusual step of suspending user ratings for the show. An Amazon source says, reviews are being held 72 hours to help weed out the trolls and to ensure each review is legitimate. The source later claimed Prime Video started the policy this summer on all its shows, which is, you know, interesting because I'm thinking, yeah, sure, you can hold off the reviews for the first 72 hours, but with the, like, acute backlash that the Rings of Power have got from, like, I would say, you know, the Tolkien purists and whatnot, I don't think that would matter. If people got a review bomb it, they will wait 72 hours. And what are you going to do? Just freeze it again and again and again? I do get it, but I think it's a move that won't make all the difference. Maybe it'll make some difference. Some people might just kind of forget about it a little bit. But when episode 3 comes out, it'll just remind them, if they don't like it still, to leave a review. So do you see what I mean? Unless they just keep putting review blocks on it for 72-hour periods, I don't know what they're going to do. It is going to be what it is, and it's inevitable because this series, as I've repeated quite a few times now, and I'm sure as you're all aware, it just hasn't had the praise from a large majority of the fandom. Now, I said I enjoyed it. I definitely had issues with it. I acknowledged the slow pacing, you know, the snow troll fight scene, for example, in episode 1. Every male elven warrior who's thousands of years old and very well equipped for combat getting absolutely bitch slapped, and Galadriel being the one who is perfect in executing that snow troll without even so much as a punch from the snow troll, I'm pretty sure. Like, things like that I identify. You know, treading water logistically in the seas for God knows how many hours. I know you're an elf, Galadriel, but that's not really, you know. So there's issues, don't get me wrong. But I think those aren't the ones that actually piss people off as much as some of the lore changes, of which I always say adaptations aren't copy and paste. But I think when it comes to Tolkien, as I always say, innovate with adaptations, but don't deviate. And I think with regards to the Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson most certainly innovated. It wasn't copy and paste. But the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, the threshold for innovation and deviation are like that far apart. So, you know, I just wanted to deliver this story with regard. I know it's a few days old, you may have already heard of it, but it's an interesting move. I wanted to talk about the audience score being in low 30s, but for what it's worth, and for all I know, I'm pissing off people right now, but hey, just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. It's not nearly as bad as I think some people are making out to be. All while I agree with quite a few criticisms, I don't agree with all of them. I think some are like extra far, but at the same time, there are some perfectly valid ones. So what do you think of this? Are you enjoying the Rings of Power? I know there's quite a few people who say, you know, it was really slow and boring. For me, from the most objective point I could take, like with a world as expansive as this, going thousands of years in the past, and this isn't me defending, I'm just trying to like identify the slow pacing for some people. There has to be a lot of world building at the beginning, but it will ramp up. I'm very confident of that. I don't think that will matter for a lot of people because it's the lore thing that's pissing them off. I'm a big Tolkien fan and I know quite a bit of what they're adapting here. And so far there is changes, of course, especially with adaptation. There is some ambiguity there, like who is the stranger who landed down to Middle-earth in the comet. There are some clear guesses there and theories, but you never know. They could be doing a massive misdirect, and those are the things that when it comes to Tolkien, some people would just rather want a straight-up adaptation. They don't want, you know, little bits and pieces like that, but then there's some of the other ones. Why don't the dwarves have beards, you know, the female dwarves and whatnot? I can look past things like that, but either way, that is the end of this video, guys, and that is the end of this news update. Let me know your thoughts on all stories. Looking forward to see what you guys have to say. Do subscribe if you happen to be brand new here, or double check if you're not subscribed. A lot of you think you are because I pop up on your home feed, but hey, check the red button. It might actually say subscribe. Check out the links in the description down below as always to my Twitter, my Discord server where you can talk to me personally. But I think that's everything, guys. So I'm gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much for watching. Bear with me again as I sort out this new studio space. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of all the universes out there in the next video. Goodbye.